What's up, I'm Troubleshoot. Kingdoms 3 Rust drops start tomorrow, and in this video I'll be taking you through all 19 brand new items before they come so you can see which ones you want to get first. Though before we check them out in game, there are 2 extra items that were added to the game related to this event, however they haven't been listed on the website. I'll be showing you those 2 as well, so they're sort of secret items. Do let me know down below if you know where these items came from and whether they'll be included, but I guess we'll find out anyways. So, starting off at the very top with these 19 brand new items, let's start by checking out the Twitch drops page, twitch.facepunch.com. You'll find this page linked down below. Starts in a day, round 43, hosted by Rustoria. Obviously, as usual, we've got a couple of Rustoria-related general drops, in fact 5 of them. 3 pieces of armor, including a Facemask, Chestplate, and road sign Kilt, and then right below a fridge and a locker, needing 10 total hours of watch time on any Rust Twitch stream. Then scrolling down further, streamer-specific drops, we've got a bunch of these, in fact 14 of these. Starting off at the very top, Foolish and Tinakitten have a vagabond jacket, Shroud and Bnans have a large backpack, Abe has a fridge, Ellum Masayoshi has a sleeping bag, hJune a large backpack, Sykkuno MP5 A4, xChocobars and Starsmitten a Thompson, Emiru an AK, this one looks pretty cool, Fuslie and Peterpark a sheet metal double door, Willneff a metal chestplate, Shoto and Michi has a locker, Trainwreck TV, an M249, Kkatamina and ItsRyanHiga an assault rifle, and finally Cyr has a sheet metal door. Let's check out all of these in game, including the 2 hidden items added into the game's files that aren't actually listed here, which I assume are some kind of general drops. Starting off at the very top with the general drops, we've got the Kingdom 3 Facemask, Chestplate, and of course road sign Kilt. Everything here is this super nice dark grey, which would go well with any camouflage / blackout kit. And of course, as you'd expect, they're not shiny in any way. If we flick over to nighttime, they'll vanish as well as anything else. Super dark, no emissions, nothing like that. This budget, or well, technically free blackout armor set is fantastic to add to any blackout armor set that you're growing this far. It's super well detailed with these beautiful pieces of metal hammered together or nailed together, and of course tons of scratches and marks from battle. You're obviously not the first person wearing these, and you're likely not going to be the last. This skin looks really solid. There's tons of attention to detail, which is fantastic to see. Overall, they are very plain, just a dark grey. That'd go well with anything really, nothing too crazy going on here. Obviously, pretty much everyone's going to be getting these, so you're likely going to see quite a bit of this in the wild in the coming few months. Then, moving on from here, we've got 2 general drop buildables, the Rustoria Fridge and the Rustoria Locker. Starting off with the fridge, there's this front window transparency, so you can see inside of this multicolored beast. If we head across to the sides, you can see the window also has the same one-way transparency, so you won't be seeing through this. No one-way peaks or anything like that. It's just a very colorful fridge to add to your base. Obviously, we've seen a ton of Rustoria items being added to the game, so if you've got a colorful base going on, this is going to be a fantastic addition to it. This very nice dark gray / black skin with this very colorful interior does look pretty cool, and of course isn't going to be dragging too much attention away from anything else. If we have a look at the locker, this is far more bright and interesting, I'd say, where all of the panels on the outside have been painted with the same polygon type texture. That gives it a nice 3D effect, and of course it does look just as clean as the fridge. We've got some wooden slats across the front, and moving across to the backside, it's just a nice dark gray, as you can see here. So whichever way you have this facing, you can either have an industrial looking backside over here, or of course, if you're building a more colorful base, you can flip it around and use the front side as intended. Pretty cool looking, pretty solid. The usual Rustoria merch / Rustoria skins have now got 2 brand new additions. So now that we've looked at the general drops that are listed on the page, what are the 2 drops that I'm speaking about that aren't actually listed? Well, added at the same date and time are, at the very bottom here, the Kingdom 3 boots, which are much more brown and opulent looking with these buttons or gems strewn across them, some wings on the side here, and of course they don't really fit in too well with the rest of the armor set that we've seen. Maybe these will only be used for the streamer event and nobody can actually collect these, or maybe they'll be added later on as an extra general drop surprise at the end. So sorry if I'm spoiling anything there, but you guys get a sneak preview as these were added to the game's code, and of course they're on the Steam Workshop, accepted, etc. So everyone can have a look at them if you wish. There's no laces, no nothing, they're just solid, put them on and go type shoes. The other item that was added was, surprisingly, the Kingdom 3 rock. This very ore looking rock / gold ore looking rock was added again to the code, accepted on the workshop, etc., though it's not listed anywhere. Neither of these items fit in too well with the rest of the general drops, so maybe that's why they were skipped over for now, but of course they might be added at some stage in the future. Having a look from the first person here, yep, just a very shiny metallic rock with some unrefined or I guess gold ore or something like that inside of the stone in the center. Overall, not too sure why this was skipped over, but we might actually see this being added sometime soon. That's yet to be seen. Now, of course, as we've covered the general drops and a bit more, let's have a look at the streamer-specific drops quickly. As there's a ton of these, we'll be skipping through them relatively quickly. Starting off at the very top, the Foolish and Tinakitten Vagabond jacket is this very royal-looking robe that you can wear on top of your normal jacket skin. So this isn't the hired poncho, this is a regular snow jacket that'll give you tons and tons of cold protection, so it might be used in quite a few more places, which is nice to see. With these, I guess, kingdom-related medallions and things hanging across the front, these giant pauldrons on the side, all the way around to the back where we've got this beautiful blue robe or cape hanging with a white hood, etc. Very royal looking and obviously very important. If you're dominating the snow, this free skin might be pretty nice to collect. Then having a look at the backpack, Shroud and Bnans have a large backpack, which is this blue and black skin with some paw prints and some beautiful kittens at the very back. This very adorable backpack is quite surprising to see. It's got Shroud's blue colors and I guess the cats for Bnans, which is pretty nice to see. And obviously we've got their two streamer logos at the very top as little patches on the backpack, holding in a pair of scissors and a bit of the strap over there. Let's get a bit more light on it. You can see a comically large zipper heading across the main section of the backpack. These large holes or patches on the side. At the very bottom, a fish, a ball, and a little stick. Past this goofy looking cat at the very back, we've got the same on the other side. If we have a look at the straps, we've got the same blue stitching and material all the way to the front where we've got some more blue clips, straps, and things like that. Overall, it's not a super dark skin. The blues definitely do make it stand out quite a bit. If we flick over to nighttime, so you can see how both of these look, they do vanish completely, which is nice to see. But obviously, if you're going to be hiding in the bush, this is not going to be the most stealthy option available. Then Abe has a fridge. This is the front side. We've got a couple of cave drawings across this, which is pretty cool to see. Each side of this fridge does have something unique. So on the front, we've got a raining thunderstorm with an erupting volcano behind a small village of people fighting and living their daily lives. On the left, we've got a bunch of, I guess, scientists or hazmat suit wearing people dancing around or at least engaging in some kind of combat. On the back side, we've got a mostly plain background, except at the very bottom, we've got an ocean and maybe a sunken city. Maybe this is Atlantis or something along those lines. And finally, for the last piece of unique artwork on this, we've got a tsunami heading for a village, which does connect very nicely to the backside over here. Pretty cool to see. Obviously, the clouds do connect across the top. The rain makes sense here, connecting these two. Across to the side, we can see the clouds once more, and there's a lot of lines that connect between each side, which is nice to see. This all comes together very nicely to create this 3D artwork that you can place facing any way forwards, depending on what you want to show in your base. Not bad at all. Then moving down, Ellum and Masayoshi have a sleeping bag, which is this sort of a digital camo foresty type vibe. Not sure why things aren't focusing here. Let's do it manually. We've got some hay, some straw, or maybe grass, maybe wheat growing across it, and things like that. Obviously, this brown and green color palette does very well with camouflage, and of course, the digital camouflage texture should definitely add to this. If you put it down pretty much anywhere, it should very easily vanish into the grass, which is nice to see. This is an incredibly well done camouflage sleeping bag. Obviously, it is themed, and of course, could have existed in the times where you've got straw filling or lining the inside to keep yourself nice and warm. The digital camo obviously didn't exist back then, but overall, it is a nice camouflage sleeping bag. And on the side, of course, we've got Ellum and Masayoshi's logo written down, so we know who this Twitch drop is from. Pretty solid overall. I can definitely see quite a few people using this, especially if you want to put one down and have it not be seen. Then moving back to our player, hJune's large backpack is this white backpack over here with a very cel-shaded look to it, very 3D. I'm not entirely too sure what's going on here. We've got a window at the top, a couple of pipes, things like that. I don't think this is a jetpack or something like that. If you do know what this is, do let me know down below. But overall, this whiteout-ish kind of backpack is more of a grey out backpack, not super white. It's not the worst thing to have if you're exploring the snow, and on the side we've got this airplane tag, always be cooking, with a very 3D looking texture to it. Overall, again, I'm not too sure what it's supposed to be, but this mostly whiteout backpack should do pretty well in snowy environments, which is nice to see. And of course, if you're looking for straps, there actually are none. This just sort of, I guess, suction cups onto your back, which is pretty interesting for a backpack. I don't think we've seen one that have the straps removed. Very interesting choice. Obviously, on the left side here, we've also got hJune's logo as well to remind you whose backpack this is. Skipping over the weapons, Fuslie and Peterpark have this sheet metal double door with heaven and hell, a bunch of angel kittens, and I guess I'd call them maybe demon or devil kittens on the other side. A very nice blue and red color palette going on here that would obviously only fit well in certain bases or add a splash of colors to ones that need. Obviously, it is a very cute door with the cats on it, and it's the same on both sides, which is nice to see. If we do flick over to nighttime though, you can see that the glowy type texture does actually emit at nighttime. Most of the background is illuminated. The cat's eyes actually don't seem to be illuminated at nighttime, so they're a little bit darker, and obviously all of the metal innards of this mosaic type artwork are just blackout when it comes to nighttime. The rest of the artwork is sort of illuminated from the other side, which is nice to see. This should look good at any time of the rust, day or night. Then flicking back to our player, the Willneff metal chestplate is this very ancient, I guess, ninja warrior kind of thing going on with lots of writing on it, or at least symbols of some sort. Not sure if they actually mean anything. And if you're planning on being a Ghost of Tsushima kind of person running around with a machete, this would be a pretty cool choice, putting you back in the times. With these very dark brown leather straps connecting the front and the back, this flamey artwork on the back spelling out Neff, which is a really nice thing to see. I don't think the streamer has a logo here anywhere, it's just Neff written out in these flames. Pretty cool to see, and some more writing it down below. Not too sure what any of it means, but overall, if you're looking for a piece of art to take your ninja outfit to a different level, this is a pretty cool choice to collect. Then moving on to the Shoto and Michi locker, this purple-black beast with bat wings and a very vampire-esque look to it can be put in your base to, I guess, start a curse or something like that. Hopefully bring across some good omens, even though it might do the opposite, and some symbols on the side which remind me of some kind of Call of Duty Zombies puzzle or something along those lines. Pretty cool to see, dark and evil to be sure, with this purpley wooden texture on the back, which is across everything. It's just very busy, so it's difficult to see exactly what's going on. It is repeated across the 3 segments of the locker, so you'll sort of notice the repeating pattern on the back, but on the sides and the front, it's nowhere near as noticeable, which is good to see. Overall, if you want to bring a more gothic vibes to your base, this would be a fantastic choice. And through the transparency on the left and the right, you can see a sword hanging back there ready for battle. Having a look at the top, again, we've just got more of this purpley wooden texture. And flicking over to nighttime, you would think that these symbols illuminate, and while you're technically right, the wood in the background does illuminate as well. I think I'd maybe prefer to see just these symbols being illuminated and the wood texture in the background just vanishing completely for a more spooky aesthetic, but this does sort of work as well, I guess. I do think it looks a little bit odd with how shiny and bright the illuminated wood texture is over most of this. It does sort of stick out in a bit of a weird way, but I guess this is a okay compromise. Again, it just would be cool to see all of these floating letters in your base and maybe a much darker background. Then the final buildable before we move on to wearables is the Cyr sheet metal door, which is again a similar sheet metal door with the same metal wire mosaic texture across it, which I assume glows similarly to the Fuslie and Peterpark double sheet metal door. It's just a different piece of artwork. If we flick over to nighttime, yes, it does. All of the artwork sort of illuminates from the background as if it's glass illuminated from behind, and all the wires connecting the pieces of glass on the metal just vanish, dropping to black, showing showing the artwork in all of its glory. It is a really unique door with, I guess, Icarus falling from the sun or something along those lines. Pretty cool to see, and if the artwork means anything more to you, then definitely do make sure to pick it up. All of these Twitch skins need you to watch one of the creators related to them for a full hour, so you can probably get most of these done, or maybe half of them done, just by spending one day clicking through the streamers. Obviously, collect your favorite ones first, just in case the streamers don't stream Rust as much as you'd hope. Now, obviously, as we've covered all of these buildables and things like that, I haven't actually touched on any of the weapons, of which we have, I think, 4 of them. So without further ado, let's have a look at all 4 of the brand new Twitch drop weapons. And hey, there's actually 5 of them. Starting off with the first weapon drop you can get, Sykkuno's MP5 is this beautiful whiteout MP5 skin with a touch of grey-black across it, very clean and marbly looking. I definitely do like how the skin looks. It's very simple, very plain, but very pretty at the same time. We can already see some bits missing. There's some weirdness going on with the textures at the front. I guess more was painted out there. And we've got a super obvious red front iron sight, which we'll have a look at in just a second in first person. If your texture quality is high enough, zooming in closer to this, you can actually see this marbly texture is somewhat reflective, which is nice to see. Flicking over to first person, yep, this gun is super clean. I do love the aesthetic. And of course, if we scope in here, you can see that a huge amount of this is actually missing. We've only got a bit of the iron sight at the back left behind, and the front one is almost completely gone except for this really obvious red line, which should make night PvP and things like that an absolute breeze. It's super obvious to see exactly what's going on, which is fantastic to see. And if we compare this to the default MP5, you can see just how much is missing. So if this were a paid skin, it'd be super pay to win, but as it's free, I'd highly recommend you pick this up, especially if you don't have the MP5 heat seeker or something along those lines already. Then the next weapon we have is the xChocobars and Starsmitten Tommy. This short Thompson variant has these pink straps wrapped all over it with some hearts and stars and things like that. A very girly skin to be sure. But if you're ready to wrap some pink as you dominate the lands, this skin is relatively clean, and while I do like it, it's obviously not going to be for everyone. And if we have a look from the first person here, yep, this metal does have some nice artisan engravings on it behind the pink strap, which is nice to see. There's a surprising amount of detail put into the skin, even if it's not visible at first glance. And if we scope in here, you'll see a star at the back becomes completed with the front iron sight, which is pretty cool to see. And as the front iron sight is a bit brighter, you should be able to easily pinpoint targets, though not as easily as the MP5 that we saw a moment ago. Though something very sad about this skin, or good depending on who you are, there is quite a bit of emissions across this with these stars and hearts and things like that actually glowing this blue color at nighttime. If you were to have a look from the third person, you'd see this definitely from afar, very easily, showing you exactly where players are. And even if you're just carrying this skin on you, say on your hip or something like that, on your back, you'd see this very, very easily. A bit sad to see as it does limit who exactly will be using this, but for daytime combat, it's pretty cool. Then moving on to my favorite skin this drop session, Emiru's assault rifle for just an hour is this beautiful shiny black metal with a cyan strap and of course some artwork on the side. We've got Emiru written on the plate, and we did previously see another Emiru assault rifle skin, I'm pretty sure, with similar artwork, which I'm pretty sad I missed out on, so I definitely won't be missing out on this. This mostly blackout skin does have some nice blue accents, so obviously there's more to it than just the character artwork on the side. Having a look from the first person, it's just as clean, and obviously you can enjoy the artwork while you're running around dominating your server. As this is a short AK variant, the back has been taken out completely, replaced with just this blue and white star. We've got a maybe cat skull and crossbones at the back, and of course, having a look down the iron sights here, I don't think too much was removed from this, but we do have a super obvious, very bright front iron sight, which should be very easy to see at nighttime for night combat, which is fantastic to see. There is quite a bit of light white on the skin, which, while it doesn't emit anything, could be a little bit obvious from certain angles, but I think it's more visible from first person, which is good to see, so at least you can use this for some nighttime PvP. Then second to last, Trainwreck's M249 is this case-hardened wooden M2. Pretty cool to see, obviously a very CS type inspired skin. It's mostly a blue gem with a lot of the case-hardenedness being this light blue color, which is nice to see. So if you're a fan of CS and of course Rust, hey, this is a pretty cool gun to pick up, but it is definitely very bright and blue. At least there's no emissions here, I don't think. so it should vanish very easily into the nighttime, but during the daytime it is relatively obvious to see what's going on here. And written at the handle at the very bottom here, we've got Squad W, which is this emote. Pretty cool to see. Obviously though, you'll need to be an avid Twitch consumer to know exactly what that means. Pretty clean looking skin. Obviously, if you're a fan of CS skins, this is going to be a no-brainer. There is a lot of blue on this, to be sure. Would be nice to see some more ready bits of the case hardened, but hey, not bad at all. And of course, scoping in, you can see that the front iron sight has been painted out a little bit, making it very easy to see what's going on there. We've just got a tiny bit left behind from, I guess, the inside of the ring or something like that. There's not too much that we can do about that. That's just how skins are displayed in Rust. And if we flick over to nighttime, this very small front red iron sight is sadly not very visible at nighttime, making it very difficult to see what's going on. But if you're going to be rocking this, you'll likely have a flashlight or night vision anyways. Just for reference, here it is compared to the default M2. So you get a tiny bit more visibility, which is nice to see. Moving on to the final drop, we have the Kkatamina ItsRyanHiga AK-47, which is this dark starry night with a bunch of golden accents. If you're collecting similar black and gold skins, this is obviously going to be a no-brainer. This long, mostly default AK does look very, very pretty, and I do like it a lot. This very dark black disappearing almost completely, showing just the stars left behind. There's a super obvious, very luminescent front iron sight, which we'll have a look at in just a second, but taking this in all of its glory. Flicking over to first person, it's very pretty to inspect with a very dim, maybe wear or possibly just sprayed on, very dark golden color, applying some more detail than just a pure blackout skin, which is nice to see. And of course, having a look at the iron sights, this should be very easy to see at nighttime, and it most definitely is, which is fantastic to see. Very easy to aim at night, so even the darkest of encounters should be relatively easy to handle. I definitely picked this up just for the visibility of it, and of course, being nice and dark, most of the skin should vanish at nighttime. I'm glad to see that there's no emissions of these stars or anything, making it suitable for any situation really. And with that, we've covered all 19 official Twitch Rust drops from the Kingdoms 3 Desolation Rust drop session, as well as the 2 extra ones that were added at the same time, though not documented anywhere on this website. I do hope that we see them at some stage, maybe being added later on. They'll obviously be quite a bit more rare if they're not specifically just for streamers to use during the event. But yeah, that's really that. So hopefully you found this video interesting. Down below you'll find related videos like the latest Rust DLC and of course this week's Rust store items if you want to have a look at prices, price estimations, have a look at them in game before you buy them, etc. Thank you all for watching. My name's been Troubleshoot and I'll see you all next time. Ciao.